I think I just got caught. Good afternoon, investigators. Mike Evans and Casey Pine here with episode, what number is it, Casey?
201.
201 of Spy Curious, the program we started to assist people to get through the pandemic back in March 2020, and it's sort of taken on a bit of a life of its own. Have you had a busy week, Casey?
Oh, flat out.
Very good. Did you win basketball last night, Casey?
Yes, actually.
Oh, excellent. A win. Very well
Close
done.
game.
Good work. Yeah, okay. So today, Casey's going to tell us a little bit about going into the AEC. You're also going to tell us about, what was it, Casey? I missed it.
The online disinhibition effect.
Yeah, well, that's very important because you're going to have to understand that if you're going to be a private investigator, corporate investigator, or government investigator. So please, people, if you're watching, say hello in the chat, in case you'll say hello back just while I do the preliminaries at the beginning. So I'm going to look at employment vacancies and some news today. And before I go into employment vacancies, it is almost impossible to get a factual investigator in New South Wales and in Victoria and Queensland at the moment. G'day, Xavier. Great to see you, mate. So, g'day, Luke. I hope you enjoyed the security risk management presentation, buddy. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in. So it is really hard to get a licensed factual investigator. Hi, Colin. You've had a busy afternoon, mate, haven't you? My word. So it's very hard. And there was this investigator down in Victoria, this bloke, his name is Jack, and he had a car accident and he put in his insurance claim. They said, oh, thanks very much. We're very busy. We'll be back. We'll have an investigator get in touch with you, blah, 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 blah. And on the way home, he was driving past in another vehicle that he had. He'd done very well for his business, and he was driving past another vehicle. He saw the car yard and he thought, I better go and order a new one. So we went into the car yard and spoke to the sales lady, and he said, I want this, I want that, I want that, I want this. And she said, oh, that's great. That's fine. Yep, we can do all that. It'll be delivered on the 31st of March, 2028, in 5 years' time. And the bloke thought, geez, pandemic, special military operation in Russia, cars held up to be debugged on the wharf because of weeds and issues, and 5 years, will it be in the morning or the afternoon that I could get it? And the lady looked back at him and said, it's 5 years away, mate. What does it matter if it's the morning or the afternoon? He said, oh, I've got a private investigator coming to interview me in the afternoon. I'm here till the end of the week, people.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. You can use that at the dinner table tonight and say it's your joke, but you'll need to have a bunch of private investigators like are watching this program. And look at all the ha-ha-has in the comments. Everybody's just rolling around, going insane about that. If you missed it today, we had week number 5, series 2, episode 29 of Friday Investigations Uni. And we gave our students in that program a really big problem that they've got to solve from a security risk management issue. I better find it. I will in a minute. Let's have a look. What did I do with it? This is the problem they've got to solve. Sorry about the colour change, but this is it. They had an organisation back in the 1960s decided to corner the market by screwing its suppliers into a long-term 20-year contract and locking them into a price. Now, that price guaranteed continuity of price. It wouldn't go up, and they would always get their raw materials for this product supplied. If you're over 60, you're a victim of this, and you're going to have a week to decide what your answer and your solution to. This is what they had to solve. It's a classic piece of security risk management disaster. Johnson & Johnson, in their planning for the future with their baby powder sales in Australia in the 1960s, decided to negotiate with all suppliers, screw them, and get a mountain of baby powder ingredients delivered to the factory every day. This way they got a cheaper price and they could still charge the same price they were charging previously. So the factory
processed the baby powder and packaged it, and the trucks came along and they took it out through the distribution chain every day. Now, in the mid-60s, it became available to every lady in Australia, the birth control pill. What this meant, we went from multiple babies everywhere to a really big drop in the birth rate in Australia. So that happened in the 1960s, but the mountains of baby powder ingredients kept on being sent to the factory. They couldn't wriggle out of the contract where they screwed their suppliers at Johnson & Johnson. So mountains of this stuff's being delivered to the factory, it's being processed. They've got a security risk management problem. What are they going to do? This is what the product looked like, and there's more trucks taking it away to the supermarkets.
So I could just about guarantee that Casey's grandmother has got one of those Johnson & Johnson baby powder tins in her shed in her backyard. And if we went and had a look for it, we'd be able to find it. So there's a major problem going on there back in the 1960s due to the introduction holistically of the birth control pill. Previously, you could get it if you were married and you got a letter from your church, minister and your doctor. But then in the mid-60s, it came out that everybody could get it and there was no limits on it. And that created a problem for Johnson & Johnson, who tried to corner a market. This goes to not just security risk analysis, security risk management, but also marketing. And we'll give you the solution next week, exactly what Johnson & Johnson did to solve the dilemma of their 20-year smart contract. So today we've got some job vacancies that I'd like to go through. Here we go first.
Service New South Wales are after a fraud response manager, and they want to pay you $175,260 per annum plus superannuation and annual leave loading to do that. So this is a high-level investigation role. You will need a diploma of government investigations as a minimum from the Australian Security Academy to even apply for that role. And if you have an advanced diploma, that's probably going to be the cream on the top in the application for that role. So great opportunity in managing the fraud response for Service New South Wales out of Sydney. Ryan down at Brookside is seeking general insurance investigators in Melbourne in Victoria. So am I at the moment. If you're a general insurance investigator in Victoria, I need to speak to you this afternoon. Get in touch with me, Mike Evans, 0407 593 881. So Brookside are hiring investigators down in Melbourne. With general insurance, you're going to do home burglaries, home arson, stolen motor vehicles, motor vehicle accident. You'll be doing some CTP liability too, I would imagine, at Brookside. They have been around for over 20 years at Brookside. They're general insurance specialists. They do other investigations as well. But right now in Melbourne, in Victoria, they're looking for general insurance licensed factual investigators. So they want to know that you can take a statement, that you have good written and verbal communication, so people are comfortable talking to you in relation to what happened with their claim, and an ability to meet deadlines. In general insurance, there are very limited deadlines. Mostly, you're going to have 14 days from the day you receive your instructions to get that finalised job, that completed report, inclusive of the photographs, the scene inspection and drawings, and all the statements back to Brookside to send back to their clients. So great opportunity with Brookside in Melbourne, Victoria for licensed investigators who hold Australian Security Academy qualifications, such as CPP 30619 Certificate 3 in Investigative Services. If your course, which you undertook cheaply, doesn't have anything about general insurance in it, you will never get a job like that.
Okay, so you've seen me wave these things around before. They're trail cams, all right? And I was just talking about a job there in general insurance, and there was a guy on the internet. He's had a problem. He bought a property, and his neighbours started to rob him when he wasn't there. So he got some of these and he put them up. I'll show you the video in a minute. 24 million people have watched the video I'm about to show you. Okay, so he used these. Now, my advice to you as an investigator is these things wear out pretty quick out in the bush. in the frost and the snow and the rain and the heat, and it's 40 degrees and the sun's shining on it. When you get an old worn one that doesn't work anymore and you've got some old batteries, this is what you use to put in the most visible area with its aerial up, so it looks like it's sending it to your phone. This is what you put the broken one in that area. So you whack it on the gate, or you put it right where the petrol pump is at the farm where people are stealing it, so they can see it. And then they'll go and spray paint over it, or they'll smash it or whatever, and it gives them something to do, and they feel really happy about that. But like you will see in the video, the one that's over here, looking at it, filming the guy spray painting this one, is the one that's gathering all the evidence. Now, this one's broken and doesn't matter because you've got a whole range of them because you're a champion surveillance investigator that uses them to identify registration numbers and who's doing what where and that sort of thing. So let's have a look at the video. This guy, now keep in mind, he's a very successful YouTuber. He's a millionaire, and the people that were ripping him off and robbing him, they had Googled him and knew who he was. So they were looking to steal valuable stuff from his property, farm equipment, all that sort of thing. And even it ends up putting tracking devices in some of it. So his whole point of what he's doing is he's used the camera to identify who's been doing it. He's put those eye trackers in some of the equipment, and he calls the police to go and get his stuff back. Now, multi-millionaire, they took on the wrong person. 24 million people have watched this. You can look at it on YouTube and watch it yourself, but this is how it went.
Yeah, that's nice. Little black spray paint right all over the front of my $600 cell cam. I always really appreciate that. You missed the one that's up in the tree right here. It's always like so sad when you miss that third camera. Nice $2,000 in camera equipment ruined, but that's nothing compared to your life. So I moved here probably 8 months ago, and I moved out of here probably 7 months ago because all my neighbors proved to be probably the stupidest people I've ever seen in my life. So I thought I'd put up some cameras to capture that, and we finally got what we needed. Got some of these bad boys. These are Apple AirTags now. I have 16 of them. That's all you can put on one Apple ID. We're gonna stick these in the most hidden spots, and then hopefully the guy who stole my other stuff takes one of these and it leads us right to where he's taken everything. AirTags need another iPhone to ping off of, so the only way it's gonna work. Max shirt. Yeah. I felt horrible for his wife. She was like crying.
Yeah, she was.
I mean,
It's
he said he stole the bow and he couldn't even pull it back because it's an 80-pound draw. He's like, I couldn't even pull it. He tried shooting.
So really good. If you watch the replay, you'll see the name of it. You can watch the whole 10-minute video with the police raiding his property, the detectives and all that sort of thing. Just how the guy went about it. But this is my advice. When one of these crap's out, don't put it in the rubbish bin. Keep it. Use that one as your distraction. Use the other ones as the real ones over in the tree, over there in the bushes, whatever, and you win. So it's a really good YouTube to watch if you get a chance to watch that one. So we've got jobs everywhere. We can't keep up with them. Here's where you go to find those jobs.
GRS are looking for a trainee private investigator in Sydney, New South Wales. Now, they advertised this a couple of weeks ago, so they either didn't get many or they've had a lot of success with it and they want another one. I don't know. You'd have to ask GRS that, but they're looking for someone who's a licensed investigator in New South Wales, so you hold a CAPI licence. That you have strong analytical and critical thinking skills. Now, that's very important as a PI. You must have that. Excellent interpersonal and communication skills. If you're a narcissist, you should never be a PI. You've got to have good communication skills. Willingness to learn and adapt to new techniques and new technologies. Investigators over the last decade have had to adapt to PCs, then Macs, then laptops, then tablets, Then measuring devices. It's always changing in technology, and they want people that run with it, not fight against it. So if you're looking for a trainee role as a private investigator in New South Wales, get in touch with GRS Investigations. All these jobs are available at the Australian Private Investigator, Corporate Government Investigator Facebook jobs page. There it is. That's all you have to do is jump on Facebook, type in Australian Private Investigator, Corporate and Government Investigator jobs, and ask to join. You have to say that you're an Australian resident and that you're seeking work as a private investigator. That's all you have to do, and I will personally include you in the group so you can see these jobs. SureFact are looking for licensed investigators in Sydney, and it's due to the expansion of their decade-old business, which has been running for 10 years, equals 1 decade, and you'll be required to conduct factual personal injury investigations in New South Wales and or Victoria. This is Opportunity of the Week. If you're a licensed investigator who holds an Australian Security Academy CPP 30619 Certificate 3 in Investigative Services, SureFact know that you have been trained correctly. You can take statements correctly, you conduct records of interview, you can write reports, you can even do surveillance if that's required because you studied at the Australian Security Academy from teachers who are actually licensed private investigators, not ex-cops. So that's a big tick when you go down and apply at SureFact for work as a private investigator in New South Wales or Victoria.
Oh, lost it a bit there. This is what they want to see when you apply for a role as a licensed private investigator with the people you see on this program. Okay, they send their staff here to get trained to the Australian Security Academy. They don't want the cheap course. They don't want the police course. They don't want the course with bundles because there was something missing in the original course. They want the course that's approved in Victoria. They want the course that's approved in every state and territory in Australia. The course designed by 29 licensed private investigators and conducted by Casey Pine, myself, Pat Flynn, and a whole lot of other people who are approved by the Victorian Police Licensing Regulation Authority to teach that course. So they're the professionals in it, and that's what they want to see. You've been waiting so long. Should I tell another joke or should we just have Casey? What do you want to do, people? What do you want to do, Casey? Another joke or you?
No, that's fine. I can go.
You're away. See ya.
Okay, so this week I thought I would talk about something I've spoken about before, but we have new viewers all the time. So welcome if you're new. I'm Casey Pine. I am a licensed private investigator who specializes in open source intelligence investigations. And so today I wanted to talk about, because a trail went cold on me this week online, I found this person about a year ago for lawyers who had to be served papers. This is a lot of the jobs I get are locates. I easily found them the last time because they had social media, the kids, all their social media was open. It was super easy to find them. They had a business, so I could really confirm their address. Whereas this time, they've wised up to the fact that that's how we found them. And, oh, Chris, hello, good afternoon. And so, yes, they wised up to social media and the information that gets leaked on social media. Even though it wasn't wide open, it was enough for me to find them. And they've wised up to that. And so I basically had a cold trail. They'd shut everything down. They'd shut the business down. They'd cut ties with their accountant. And I sat there scratching my head, and I had another case that I had to have a look at a locate as well. And so I went to the Australian Electoral Commission. This is a fantastic place to check people what address they're registered to vote at. So you need their first name and their last name, and around the area. So you need their electoral area. So this place was in Sydney, and I just Googled what the electorate's called, and I found them. So for the one case that went cold, I found that address. I looked that address up, and yes, they own that house. So in the detective desk that I have access to, looked that address up. Yep, it was there in that last name. Perfect. Off you go. So whenever you have, like, as much as open source intelligence is fantastic, sometimes it's not everything. Sometimes you need something else. And the Australian Electoral Commission is a fantastic place to go and check that address. And if you don't have like a general area, you just need a lot of patience. You can sit there for as long as you want. It's free. You don't need a reason to be there. You just walk in, their computers are there. I sat down next to someone else who looked like he might have been doing locates as well. So he had his little notebook. You're not allowed to like take pictures or anything, so you have to pen and paper. But yeah, that was fantastic. And then with the second one that I did, I had a number of images that the person's grandchild had taken outside of the house. In the back of the house, the grandparents have a big, beautiful home. So this grandchild is making the most of it for social media. And I just wasn't 100% sure where that was. And just to save me a bit of time, I went through the different electorates for where I thought that this place might have been. I found that person in the specific electorate, got the address, came home, compared the images of the grandchildren to the address on Google Maps, perfect match. So it was a win for that as well. So you can use both online and the Australian Electoral Commission hand in hand to verify an address, which makes me very happy when I can verify things like that. It's not good enough often in my mind when a client comes to me and wants 100% verification on a location. Just going to the Australian Electoral Commission is not enough, because people often don't update their addresses, especially if they know that someone is looking for them. So getting a level of extra verification always makes a difference, and the client really likes it when you can give that as well. So that's something to keep in mind. I also dealt with a cyberbullying case this week. And I also have, for those that know me, I have a business called Quick Look, which helps to fight online scams and dating and romance scams and violence. And I've learned a lot about the psychology, which I just thought is important for investigators to know as we go online as investigators and just normal consumers, people that go online. There is an effect that I think that everybody should be aware of, and it's called the online disinhibition effect. And this effect means that because we are not face to face with someone and getting that feedback, those little nonverbal cues that we get that we don't even think about when we're face to face with someone, we lean into a lot of our biases about the world when it comes to interacting online. And this is a lot of what I talked about last week, our SATs that we have to do. So our strategic analytical, gosh, now it's going to elude me what SAT stands for. But we look at the biases, strategic analytical techniques, and we look at the biases that we have about the world, and we tend to take them online. And a lot of us actually believe that the world's pretty safe and that other people are like us. So when we're interacting online and we don't have that, those non-verbal cue feedback loops, we just assume that the person that we're speaking to online is like us. This is how people get scammed and fall into violence loops when it comes to online. So a lot of people, and you'll hear this a lot, and you might even think it when you see it as an investigator, when these cases come across your desk, you're like, how did they fall for that? Why were they so stupid? Like, there must be something up with that person to lose this amount of money or to fall into these violence loops when it comes to these kind of technology facilitated abuses. And it's just not true. This online disinhibition effect literally proves that we have the ability to feel like we're safe when we're not, just because we don't know how to interact online. We don't understand that it's not safe because we're constantly told that it's safe, and that the dark web, that's where we are not safe. But just online, you also are at risk, and a lot of people don't realize that. So when we deal with these cases, it's really important as an investigator to treat the person with respect and understand that this effect is very real. The online disinhibition effect also leans into cyberbullying. So the person that I found had been cyberbullying this other person for at least 6 months, and just finding the trail, hoping that they slip up and let some information out somewhere, where they did. And this person was a family person with children, and they said the most obscene things, nasty things. Because of this online disinhibition effect, it also works in the fact that no one can see me. No one knows who I am, so I can do what I want. So not only do people just think that they're safe and that they're secure and they trust people quicker, which leads to quicker intimacy on the internet, it also works the other way in that seemingly normal people can be super nasty. They can let their guard down and they say terrible things and just send threats and do ridiculous things, and in real life that they just would not. So understanding this effect when it comes to scam and frauds online, and when you're investigating them as an investigator, I think it's really important information to know. And even just interacting online yourself, it might just help twig something. And it's also really important for children to understand this effect. Like, I had this conversation with my son, who's almost 14, and he looks at me, he's like, yeah, so... But it's just information that they need in the back of their mind, just in case they go to meet that person at that park who they think that they know and that they feel like they have a relationship with and assume that it's another child. Hopefully they keep that in the back of their mind, because this is what happens all the time. And just one last thing on the online disinhibition effect is that because it leads to quicker intimacy, because we let our guard down quicker and we tell people more than 80% more, the studies show 80% more we tell people online. So when kids are gaming or when someone's on an online dating app, 80% more information they give to the person that they're meeting on the other side of the technology, as opposed to if you just met someone in a bar or met someone in a park. You're a lot more guarded, and you do get those nonverbal feedback loops, and there's no kind of perceived intimacy, whereas it does happen with technology. And this is how we get ourselves into trouble. This is how our clients get themselves into trouble. They're not stupid. They're not just lonely and cat ladies or lonely men or delinquent children. This is a real effect, and it's something that we really need to keep in mind. So, 2 things today.
Sorry, got a dry throat. Very good, Casey. Online disinhibition effect. Everybody's learned a new process today. So in investigation news around Australia this week, there's some 3 big things been happening, the most important of which is the RSPCA acknowledged it's the support of the Australian Security Academy in the training of their staff. And they put a beautiful thank you up on the RSPCA website. In relation to that, with some other pictures, and there's a dog Casey used to have called Bear. Looks exactly the same, only a smaller version. And here's some of the RSPCA staff on Friday afternoon studying at Investigations Uni, and they're going for it. And good on you guys. That's really great. So great to see, and a lovely thank you for our support for the RSPCA, which has topped well over $1 million now. Now, some people, they don't like the RSPCA. They believe the rumours and the online disinhibition effect that they see about what goes on there, and they know everything. Oh, I don't care. I've been to the RSPCA. I've seen what they've done. I've supported them now for 13 years. They do a great job, and it's a very thankless role. Well done, inspectors workers and all the staff, the medical teams, the vets, the cleaners, the whole lot at the RSPCA all around Australia. You do a great job, people, and we will continue to support you. Down in Melbourne, a magistrate's lost his job. He told a rape victim she had buyer remorse. So she changed her mind afterwards. So he has now resigned. There were other issues in his past which were raised, but he's out of the system now. So that's pretty big news this week. This one's really big news. Prue Wilsford from the ANZ IIF, their CEO, has stepped down from her role and finishes up in December this year. They put out a media release in relation to Prue's 10 years of service at the ANZ IIF earlier this week from the ANZ IIF. So that's three pieces of big news. Don't forget, people, the most important is the RSPCA one, thanking us. That's happened this week. Now, where am I? I've got to do some more job vacancies before we wrap up. So all of these jobs you're about to see in the new colour that I've just decided to go with, which are available at the Facebook page. Okay, so licensed investigator or workplace investigations. They're seeking workplace relations specialist, IHR Australia, down in Kew, upmarket Kew in Melbourne. You can go and work as a licensed investigator for IHR. And that's where Clarity Investigations are also in Kew in Melbourne. So make sure you talk with plum in your mouth when you go to your job interview in upmarket Leafy Kew. A principal investigator on the Gold Coast, City of Gold Coast. You don't have to have a plum in your mouth or up yourself on the Gold Coast. This is person in charge. They're offering a lot of money for that role. You'll need a diploma of government investigation. Licensed factual general insurance investigators are wanted by Brookside, as I covered before. This is a great one. Adjuster Corp on the Gold Coast in Queensland are looking for a desktop investigator. You must be licensed, and you'll never get a better work role on the Gold Coast than you will at Adjuster Corp. So if you've missed this, if someone tells you about it, watch the replay and get on our Facebook page and see that job role from Adjuster Corp. Claim investigator is wanted by the Woolworths Group. Now, this is about claims for spoiled stock and undelivery and promotional, the ends of the supermarket aisles and getting the money back and all that. So it's a highly technical role, but it is a claims investigation corporate role. Won't need a license for that. Licensed factual investigators are wanted by Workside Investigations in Sydney. Massel Group advertised yesterday for factual investigators in Victoria. Last month, 4 people were employed, 4 graduate students of the Australian Security Academy. These people were employed by Massel last month. Well, this month, sorry, it just ends today. So that's an interesting one. Here's a government investigation role, Victorian Electoral Commission down in Melbourne, Victoria. They're paying $103,000. You'll need a certificate in government investigations for that role. They're just some of the jobs that are available this year. There's a whole lot more jobs. And if you want to see the replay of my really funny joke, just watch the replay of this after the program and just laugh yourself silly. Smoke some dope, it'll be funnier. People, you have been watching the Australian Security Academy's 201st presentation, and it's been raised with me that I should have thanked Casey for her stellar performance during the last 2 weeks, and it was. Casey took the reins of both Investigations Uni and took us up to 200 episodes of Spy Curious and did a brilliant job of doing it. She was exhausted afterwards. She's going to have a rest for Easter next week, but did a great job, Casey. We're really grateful for your effort and what you've done. So thank you very much. Just to cover what happens, every Friday at 1 p.m. we have Investigations Uni. Now, this is our CPD program for our AirLap members, so the people that are members of our industry association. Now, our industry association is free. You don't pay an annual fee. You don't ever listen to a police inspector telling you about the latest murder investigation, and it's irrelevant to what you do, all right? We have relevant, information, CPD, continuous professional development for our students who are members of AirLap. They become a member of AirLap on graduation. They get a beautiful certificate in relation to it every Friday at 1 p.m. Then following that, every Friday at 2 p.m. we have Spy Curious. So Spy Curious keeps us up with news and Casey's terminology and my funny jokes. So it's always something to look forward to. Here's Natalia. She's just going to show us. That's our AirLap. So AirLap is the Industry Association for ASA Students Alumni. So it's the Academy of Investigation, Risk and Loss Adjusting Professionals. It costs nothing to be a member if you're a graduate of the Australian Security Academy. Don't pay an annual $300 fee to listen to ex-cops lecture you about how to investigate. They haven't got a clue what you do. They don't know. They do rape, murder and other stuff, which is very important. Good on them. They do a great job of that. But we keep it relevant at AirLap for all the benefit of all our members. Now, one contacted me today. She had an issue with a licensing authority. She contacted me 3 minutes before I did investigations uni. Her issue was resolved within 90 seconds. And she's been arguing with the licensing authority for weeks. So she's a member of our industry association. She had the right to come to me and seek help. It was resolved in 90 seconds. Is she happy? My word, she's very happy, all right? So sometimes problems arise that seem mountainous. We're there to support you once you graduate because you know what you're talking about and know what you're doing when you graduate from the Australian Security Academy. And SureFact want to hear from you. Clarity Investigations want to hear from you. Worksite Investigations want to hear. Adjuster Corps certainly want to hear from you if you're on the Gold Coast. So it's a winner for everybody when you see the support you get at the Australian Security Academy when you study there. You don't get that support anywhere else because they're only in it for the money. We've been there, done that, okay? The runs are on the board. We continue on and we have our support program coming up after Easter, episode 202 of Spy Curious. Have we covered everything, Casey?
I believe so.
You were very successful in your locate yesterday.
Yes.
So Casey gets the circle of success, which is very important. You've been watching episode 201 of Spy Curious. Thanks for watching, people. We'll go out in our usual way.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
Yes, that's how every investigation agency in Australia ends its week. They say mission complete and all units return to base, don't they, Casey?
Sure.
They do. So these two units are going to return to their base. G'day, Xavier. Have a good weekend, mate. Hope you have a happy Easter. We'll see you back after Easter, and it's goodbye from us. Anything that you didn't get during that program, you couldn't keep up with because I went too fast, you can watch the replay from 3 o'clock this afternoon onwards. See you next time.